kind of coming to the end, and Oklahoma City now rising up, and some other teams like
the Celtics
at the end. Yep, I mean, just all corners of the league. You have the Knicks trying to put together their dream team. You have kind of the really big up-and-coming teams, like I know you like the Clippers and the Wizards, and I mean, even in places like Memphis, they found love in basketball, and now they're not going to be able to see it for quite some time.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
But with that, I mean, it just puts more of a spotlight on what should be a fantastic college basketball season. Can you think of one that has been, not even necessarily hyped as much, but looking at just the quality of the young talent in all reaches of college basketball? It really we haven't seen this in quite some time.
No, we haven't, and it kind of does go back to the NBA with how great this college season is going to be with a couple top picks. A lot of these guys declared to come back to school. A lot of these freshmen, like Harrison Barnes, Perry Jones, could even say Jaren Solinger. A lot of these guys would have been top picks in last year's draft, but feeling the pressure of a possible lockout, they decided to return to school, try to win a championship, and maybe raise their draft stock if that was even possible for guys like Harrison. But yeah, the talent this year is what really should make a great college basketball season. I went as far as to say on my Twitter account for all my followers out there that I think it'll be the most exciting college basketball season of our generation. So we'll see, I guess, if we can live up to that.
A bold proclamation from Jake Koch joining us here on the program. Jake, I wanted to throw this one at you, a little bit off the radar, I guess, with all the realignment we're seeing, all the coverage kind of geared towards football with Pitt and Syracuse leaving the Big East, moving towards the ACC. Do you think any of that will carry over into the college basketball universe, as it were, with these two moving away from what was considered last year the best conference in college basketball, and does it just make the ACC that much better?
Yeah, I think it definitely takes away from the Big East, because that's been the golden basketball conference for quite some time now, and I feel like the biggest part of it is just the tradition, and people really look forward to the Big East tournament in the Garden. It's one of the most prestigious college basketball tournaments that's been around for quite some time. So I just feel like it takes away from some of the tradition, and then you get into stuff where these teams they're not even on the Atlantic coast. It's just I don't understand. I know it's from a money perspective and stuff like that, but I just don't like taking away from a great thing that's been around for a while. It's just I don't understand it. It's dumb. It's just stupid.
Jake, on the way over to the studio, we were discussing in the car ride who we thought your top three teams would be going into the year as far as national championship caliber teams. I'm going to wait to see what you say before I give it out, but I think I nailed your top three.
Yeah, I mean, you probably could. I mean, I know you were on your Twitter account. Well, we won't name his name, but someone called you out for taking all the hype teams, and I liked what you said back. You said, "Sorry, I like talent. So what?" But just with that statement, I agree with my top three teams. It's pretty much a consensus, but I would go North Carolina, my number one, just because their talent. They're returning 5 guys that could be first-round picks in whatever next year, whatever the next NBA draft is. So right there, talent alone with the team that they have and a great coach in Roy Williams, I like them at number one. And then my number 2, I would have to go with my favorite team this year.
Don't do it.
With UConn.
Come on, number 2?
I got to give it to UConn. First, the argument for them is that they lost their best player. How can they get better? Well, they added the number one overall prospect, or he might be number 2 behind Austin Rivers, but Andre Drummond, this big center prospect that 6'11", 270, freak athlete. He should really secure the paint and kind of be that anchor center that we're used to seeing UConn have with, Hashim Thabit and Hilton Armstrong and Emeka Okafor. I think he'll be that anchor for their defense, and I like Jeremy Lamb. I like Shabazz. I think they might struggle a little bit because they're in a tough conference, but I think they'll end up with a 1 seed. And then my number 3, I would have to go with.
You got to go with your boys.
I got to go with my boys, Kentucky. I like Calipari. You know that. I like the talent they brought in. Number 1 recruiting class. They've reloaded with all these freshmen. Terrence Jones has been having a great offseason. He started off the season pretty strong. I think he'll be. You say that they're freshmen, they're not going to click together. But I think Terrence Jones staying really brings that core together for some leadership that they've been missing the past couple of years with all these just freshmen leading their team. Now they got a sophomore, a little more experience, so I like those 3. How about you guys? I had
you pegged at, I thought you were going to go Kentucky 1, Kentucky 1, UNC 2, and UConn 3, so you kind of threw me off there. I like UNC. I mean, how can you not like?
Yeah, you can't be. I'm not going to be ignorant with that. I mean, yeah,
exactly. You can't go against them. I do like Kentucky too, and my number 3. I'm not so. I think those two are a 1A and 1B, and then you could put the next tier at Ohio State and UConn. And honestly, I see Syracuse at number 5 in both polls. That's exactly how I feel. And then Duke, Jake, I know you like Austin, or Stein, I know you like Austin Rivers, but I just don't.
You get Austin Rivers, I got the youngest Plumlee, who's supposed to be the best out of all, and that was the name that I was struggling to come up with in the car. I'm never going to pick against Krzyzewski. And yeah, I've been a Dookie since.
They do currently have all 3 Plumlees on roster, which is pretty impressive. Seth Curry, too. They do have some
lethal
players. I don't know. I feel
they're
like
not exciting, but they're going to be there when there's 8 teams left. Chances are they'll be there when there's 4 teams left. But quickly, we got to go back to Jake. We were talking, I think maybe a month ago, last time we had you on the show, and you mentioned a little bit of back and forth about the NBA draft with a scenario if the season doesn't happen. What kind of draft order do we revert to? And I guess kind of there's 2 theories on this now. Either we go with another lottery or we go the NFL style with a snake based on the record. So if that happens, your boys, the T-Wolves, should get that number 1 pick. So obviously you got to be in favor of that, right?
Well, I would, but here's the thing. There was a little something called Sam Cassell and Marco Jaric trade that happened about 5 years ago for the Wolves. So technically, the Wolves owe the Los Angeles Clippers their 2012 draft pick.
That's all right, Jake, because we don't have any, there really isn't any room for another guy like Harrison Barnes. There's just not enough shots to go around at this point. I mean, granted, it would be nice to add him, but...
Definitely, but, I mean, I would take Andre Drummond. I mean, a center is someone that could fill in for Darko... I'm not forgetting his last name.
Darko
Milicic?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think, right?
Yeah, for Darko, and then Anthony Randolph is still developing, and so I don't know. You could go. There's still prospects there. I mean, you never want to give up your first round pick, but like you said, I mean, they got to start moving forward eventually. So with Derek Williams, they're a young team. So, but it sucks that we have to give up a first round pick when it's probably going to be a top 10 at least.
Cook, have you got a chance to look at the All-American teams yet?
I actually was looking at that last week, and I don't know if you guys can pull. I could probably pull it.
I'm looking at them right now, and Jared Sullinger and Harrison Barnes, I think 2 guys clearly they deserve to be there. Terrence Jones even. He tailed off a little at the end of last year, but I think coming into this year, a new year, he's got more guys around him. He's got the experience. I can see that. But it might be my Wisconsin bias, but Jordan Taylor, really?
Yeah,
First team
I
All-American?
completely agree, Sam. I saw that. It's just...
And with all the ESPN, it's like he's a consensus best point guard in the country, and I'm not so sure if I'm buying into that. I like Kendall Marshall even more than I like Jordan Taylor.
Yeah, no, I do too, and I wonder if the voting, if votes get split up between teammates that they say sometimes. So Harrison might have been